Whenever you're ready.
I will.
Hi, my name is Olda Iquiano. I was forced into slavery at age 11. Throughout my life, I've been captured, beaten, freed, and renamed. Slavery has defined me as a person and inspired me to write a book and join the Sons of Africa. I fight for slavery to be ended because throughout my personal experiences, I know slavery is misused, involves cruel punishment, and has an inhumane way of transporting slaves. In Africa, slaves were used as part-time. The children of slaves had an opportunity to gain higher position of society with those who took care of them. Domestic services allow slaves to be considered part of their master's household, not to be bought and sold. Slaves also had the right. Europe and the Americas, slaves were bought and resold, controlled as if they were property, and no more often not could gain freedom. During my experiences in the heart of the Transatlantic Slave Trade, I witnessed many atrocities committed by those who claimed to be our masters. I have seen the limbs of my comrades mercilessly amputated due to small misunderstandings, even some thrown off decks of ships during travel. Those who suspected of criminal activity were more often than not hung out in the middle of a field until they passed. We were whipped, beaten, and punished brutally for even the smallest offenses. And while I do not condone any kind of criminal activity, the forms of punishment that we had to suffer through were outrage to all mankind. Transporting slaves was also a traumatic experience for me. While my family was away hunting, my sister and I were abducted from our home. We were chained up to other Africans using metal bars and marched at a holding site. From the holding site, my sister and I were separated and shipped to different continents. The trips varied anywhere from 60 to 90 days, and while on board, we were treated poorly. Diseases, abusive owners, and poor living conditions caused many deaths on the ship. The area where we slept was atrocious, and I remember having to sleep in cramped living conditions with feces, blood, and urine surrounding me. I also recall being beaten by different members of the ship for not eating or cooperating appropriately. In fact, Captain Kimber was accused of beating one of his female slaves to death for not dancing for him. This unfair treatment is a common aspect of the slavery industry and should not be allowed to continue on. Therefore, slavery has changed my life in not a good way. It changed it in the worst ways possible. We were unfairly treated and beaten for the smallest offenses, and it just wasn't fair.